Baby's gonna say hi. Say hi. Say hi, baby. Say hi, baby. The little one. I'll see if I can get the big one. Okay. Baby. Oh man, I almost had him. I found him. Oh well. He's not a fan. He's not a fan of video. Sometimes he's docile, and sometimes he's not. They're running around all crazy. All right, let's see. What's going on? Okay, we're going to talk about CPI, which, surprise, surprise, is down after all these economists got it completely wrong. Again, the street is wrong. Again, whatever. They don't even know what they're looking at. Typical. The tariff pause sparked a bunch of short liquidations, including a few miraculous early trades, which, whatever. Okay, it is what it is. China and Russia are settling energy trades and Bitcoin, and is Sui the next Solana? We've been talking about this for a minute. All right. Hello. Let's see. Oh, I'm at the bottom. I gotta go to the top. Hello. How are you? How's it going? Hello. Good morning. What's going on? How you doing? How's things? How's life? Yep. Hello. Bam, boom, pow. All right. I think we almost got it. Hello. We're getting through all of them. Hello. Good morning. Good evening. Okay. Bam. Nailed it. Okay. So let's get to our stuff. And then if you guys have questions as we go, I'm trying a different microphone position. You'll notice I have the microphone here. It may be better. It may be worse. We won't know until after you guys give me some feedback and say it's good, it's bad, whatever. All right. I don't know if it's demonstrably any different than when it's down here on the desk. I don't know. So we'll see. I know that this is French toast flavored coffee. I know that. Tasty bits. Okay, let's grab our first piece of info. So, okay, first off, CPI came out this morning. Again, these things every week, there's information every single week. There's something to react to. That's by design. Because all this is just feeding the news machine. There's not much real information to be gleaned because they just lie about the data and then downward or upward revise it later on when it doesn't have the same effect. Isn't that funny? Everybody reacts to the news, but then when they downward revise, no one reacts to it. But like, that's going opposite of the news you reacted to. Yes. Don't you think you should react to the downward revision? No, that was in the past. Yes, but you made financial decisions on bad information. Yes. And you don't think that the revision of that bad information is new information? No. Gotcha. All right. US CPI declined. These things don't really do anything. I don't think. If I hold them up to the screen, they're clear. Wait a minute. I wonder if these do anything at all. Because I can't tell. I think I got screwed on these. I think I just paid. God, what a scam. What a scam those eye doctors went in the. Don't go to an eye doctor in a mall, I guess is the lesson. This doesn't do anything. Nothing. Like, even if you turn it, it's not like. Whether fresh inflation numbers boost rate cuts? No, but I look smarter with these. Sorry. I look more proper. Whether the fresh inflation numbers boost rate cut hopes or the price of Bitcoin is another story. As the data from last week's tariff announcements kind of shocked everybody, we know how all that went. But US CPI declined. Okay? Declined in March. That is not what they said. US CPI rose less than forecast in March. The price of Bitcoin rose modestly following the data. I think Bitcoin didn't really move off of this data. I don't think anybody cares about this. Tariffs are the story right now. The Fed will meet this May. Well, that would be the next one. This one in a few weeks. And everybody is kind of expecting, based on Trump's 90-day pause on the tariffs. Now the thought is, oh, wait, they won't cut in May, but they'll start cutting again after that. But again, the Fed, I don't know what information they look at anymore. No one knows. If you were looking at this information, you would say it's more likely that they would cut based on their own explanation of how they make decisions. But nothing that they say makes any sense, and it changes from meeting to meeting and speech to speech and luncheon to luncheon and all that. So it's nothing they say means much of anything, and nothing they do does anything. All right. Well, the audio still should be. It shows that it's working. Hugh, testing for Hugh. I could say like a secret message, Hugh, that only you would know, and then you would know if the audio is working, except that if it was working, everybody would hear it. All right. Off we go then. Hugh, it's you, Hugh. Inflation in the U.S. declined at the headline level last month, and the core rate barely rose, likely reigniting debate about whether the Federal Reserve would resume their trimming rate, their kind of cycle of trimming rates, which they will be, and they will be cut. And this thing's going all the way down. I just think these guys got it all wrong. I mean, the talking heads, the Larry, the Finks, and all these guys. I just think that I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if they're trying to talk the market into doing. I don't know. But whatever. Anyway, or maybe Fink is being the contrarian on purpose so that the Fed will say, "You don't know what we're going to do. Ha ha, we'll show you." Like, you wonder if the Fed is more about games and brinksmanship rather than I mean, I guess, yeah, of course, because nothing they do means anything. Interest rates don't affect anything. It's a reaction function. And easing ain't easing. It's actually stripping quality collateral. And tightening is not tightening. It's actually freeing up quality collateral. Runoff is a flipping joke. So yeah, nothing they do does anything. Stimulus, well, stimulus doesn't come from the Fed, does it? Stimulus payments come from the Treasury. So anyway, the consumer price index, what you might know of as CPI, fell 0.1%. So 10 basis points in March. Economists had expected a 0.1% increase. So they were 100% wrong. Following February's 20 basis point gain. On a year-over-year basis, headline CPI increased just 2.4% compared to forecasts of 2.6% and February's 2.8%, which of course, these things will get downward revised and all this a lot. You know, they use smoothing these, whatever. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay. Core CPI, which strips out food and energy prices, but again, leaves in housing, like owner's equivalent rent, those kind of numbers. It's kind of greasy because the housing prices have not started to calm down really yet. Anyway, but your core CPI does not include volatile food and energy prices. Okay, so the core CPI climbed 10 basis points in March against forecasts from the geniuses on the street of 0.3. So they were way the flip off. They were way the ripple off on that one. February's 0.2% reading was, so it's half of February and 1/3 of what they thought was going to be in March. Why? Because they're stupid. Because I don't know why they do you think that these economists listen to Jerome Powell and when he says strong, resilient economy, that they're like, yeah, it is that. They just ignore unemployment. They ignore like cost of housing. They just ignore. They ignore. It's so funny. It's like, well, I guess if you ignore everything, then anything you say makes sense if you ignore everything. Anyway, the core CPI rose 2.8% year over year, well shy of the expected 3%, and February's 3.1%. We know that we believe that February's tick upward was a bunch of pull forward demand pre-tariff. We think it's a reasonable conjecture. Anyway, the price of Bitcoin rose modestly above 82,000 in the minutes following the news. After yesterday was pretty nuts in the markets, as you guys saw. So, matter of fact, I can look at where on. I can see what markets are at right now. Let's look at CNBC Live. That's the one good thing they do is, well, markets do not look good. Trump's tariffs on China now total 145%. Wow. I guess made in China is no longer is like fancy. Made in China is like, oh, that's made in China? What are you, rich? Yeah, look at my Chinese, look at my Wolex, my Swolex. That thing's nice. Made in China? Yeah. I'll trade you my Rolex for your Swolex. The Dow Jones is down 1,100 points. The S&P is down 181 and NASDAQ down 679. So we'll call it across the board. Dow Jones down 2.73%. S&P down 3.34%. NASDAQ down 4%. This is just giving up some of yesterday's hoorah. So there was the big move yesterday, as you guys know, and we can kind of roll into that. And we'll probably maybe tomorrow do a deeper look at CPI, but we don't want to, kind of just sit on that all day. It's not all that interesting. Mr. Wonderful isn't Mr. Wonderful? Isn't he Canadian? Is he even? No offense to him, and it's cool if you're Canadian, but he's not even an American, is he? I thought he was like Canadian or something. If he's an American, I feel bad. I'm embarrassed. that dude's one of ours. Anyway, Donald Trump's tariff pause sparks huge short liquidations and some insider trading things yesterday. Yesterday was a weird day. Okay, so short sellers in the crypto market were hit hard on April 9th, suffering the third largest loss of 2025, which is saying a lot because, these guys that are leveraged get whacked a lot. And I still don't know why they take this kind of leverage. It doesn't make any sense. They continue to do it. I don't understand. Unless you think you know something no one else knows, which is a fair amount of kind of unrealistic self-aggrandizing hubris. But anyway, Bitcoin staged a pretty good rally. I remember at one point yesterday, early, it was 75, 76,000, and then boom, we're at 82,000, 83,000 kind of. Anyway, so yes, pretty big move, pretty fast. The surge followed President Trump's sudden decision. Sudden. It wasn't completely sudden because some people traded on the information before. But the White House's decision to pause tariffs for 90 days on most countries, excluding China. So this is basically a dick measuring contest with China. After a week of heavy selling, obviously there was this swift rebound in risk assets, stocks, crypto, everything. Bitcoin surged more than 5% during yesterday's session, briefly closing or crossing over 83,000 before settling back down to 81.9. And now we're down, I think, 80? Let me see. 80,500. So again, it gave up some of, but it's still up like 4K from yesterday, which is, pretty good. Anyway, the rebound came after a week of all this kind of selling pressure, and which was tied to the broader macroeconomic landscape. Okay. Ethereum got some good news yesterday, as you guys know. So the BlackRock's Ethereum ETF, their options, firing off options against those just got the green light. So that's kind of cool. So that means finally that you can monetize your Ethereum with options contracts and maybe slowly grind your way back to some level of solvency after the beating we've taken. But I'm going to do it because I have a lot sitting there and it would just make sense. Now I've got to figure out the transition mechanism from one to the other. We are for the digital private clients, we're actually setting up a fund where we're going to continually sell and roll over options against Bitcoin via IBIT and Ethereum via ETH. I think it's ETH A or ETH E. Anyway, and so once those options change roll out, and it'll be 75% Bitcoin options, 25% Ethereum options. I think there'll be more premium in the Ethereum side is my guess. But anyway, we're setting that up now. That'll be kind of fun. Anyway, another perk of being a digital private client. Delicious. Anyway, Ethereum led the altcoin charge yesterday with at one point over a 10% bump. It got up to 1639, which is pretty good. It's now sitting at 1530, so $100 down, which whatever, it gave up some of that, but it's better than the 1400 and whatever. I think Brandon got some Ethereum yesterday at 14 ETH A. You're right, Mike. Okay. So and then XRP and Solana had decent gains, but they've since given a lot of that back. Solana down $7. It's about $111. Anyway, whatever. Okay. The rally did catch some short sellers off guard. They got whacked a little bit. So according to the data, and this was as of early this morning, total liquidations on yesterday reached 589.41 million. Short positions accounted for 374 million of the losses, to which I say, you get what you deserve, you bunch of dumbasses. The market had its third highest daily short seller loss this year, behind 542 million on March 2nd, which, not very long ago, and 469 million on February 3rd. Interesting. You notice it's these early in the month shorts seem to get whacked. Yeah. Don't short in the first 2 weeks of the month, I guess is the lesson. In the first 10 days of the month, don't be short crypto. stupid. This is one of the few times I feel like I agree with Elizabeth Warren. So the sudden rally drew some scrutiny, with a bunch of lawmakers, including Elizabeth Warren, calling for formal investigations into potential insider trading linked to the tariff announcement. And basically, you could see how this goes, right? Trump's queuing up the announcement. His kids catch wind of it. They text someone who messages someone on Signal, who messages someone on Telegram, who tells someone else, and they make a lot of money. And some people made a lot of money yesterday with wagers that are not logical unless you had advanced information. Like people making these huge trades that expired in a few hours, just like really big bets, like $1 million bets with leverage in contracts that would expire in just a few hours. It's a little sketchy to me, man. So I think on this one, it pains me to agree with Elizabeth Warren, but I think they need to investigate a little bit. Their concern centers on Trump's timing and the tone of his social media posts right before the policy shift, because just a few hours before the pause, the tariff pause, Trump posted this message saying, it's a great time to buy. I guess I'm torn. I'll tell you why. It's funny that Elizabeth Warren and any politician, bureaucrat would have a problem with this. They do this all the time. That's how they make all their money. They front run markets. That is, and it's legal for them because there's no insider trading by those guys. It's legal for them to do it. It's a bunch of bull ripple, but they do it and they get away with it, and they've gotten away with it for decades. And so part of me is like, yes, there was insider trading, but guess what? Like pot calling the kettle black. You guys do it for an entire career. Matter of fact, some people posit that that's the only reason you would get into career politics as a congressman or senator, is for the insider trading tips so that you can become a multimillionaire. Like all these douchebags that outperformed Warren Buffett. Just all these senators and congressmen, these just amazing players. Get off the gas. What a bunch of scumbags. Anyway, but I feel like Elizabeth Warren is not a participant in that little good old boy insider trading network because she wears poor person clothes. So I don't think she's making money insider trading, but this is a little fun. Anyway, so that whole message, this time is a great time to buy, from Donald Trump. It was on the Trump Media and Technology Group, their little whatever thing, which, it seems a little sketchy, but I guess he put it out there for everyone. The problem was before that, there were people that traded on this information before we could trade. I really don't have a problem if Trump puts out a tweet, it's a great time to buy, and then people start making trades. But if he says something like that and 6 hours earlier trades were put on, you go, oh, I don't know about that. So anyway, considering this, Senator Elizabeth Warren has urged regulators to examine whether the president's actions benefited allies or donors. Well, again, that's stupid. She needs to look at what happened before the announcement and see if there was some pre-announcement whispers. She warned that using trade policy to influence market sentiment for personal or political gain could signal deep ethical concerns. The same ethical concerns of, Nancy Pelosi and her husband, the most amazing stock market traders of all time. Get off the gas and indict your own friends. Warren wrote, I'm calling for an investigation into whether President Trump manipulated the market to benefit his Wall Street donors, all while working people and small businesses paid the price. Well, if he paused the tariffs, did the small businesses and working people pay the price? I guess I'm not sure. She would have rather the tariffs continued. I guess I'm unclear what her stance is. She mad at Trump, or is she just generally mad? Senator Adam Schiff echoed these concerns, pointing to the volatility caused by abrupt tariff shifts. He questioned whether anyone within the administration had advanced knowledge and used it to profit from the market swings. That's fair. That's a fair query. That's a fair quandary. A fair quandary. No, that's the thing, Rube. They've checked Congress members' financials. It doesn't matter because nothing they do is illegal. They're allowed to insider trade straight up. Nancy Pelosi was asked, matter of fact, you can go look it up. It's on YouTube. You can go look up when Nancy Pelosi openly admits to insider trading. And she says, well, if you don't like it, you got to talk to your senators and congressmen and change it. And the guy's like, I am right now. Oh, well, that's not, I mean, I wouldn't, my microphone's not working. Like, get off the gas, man. Anyway, Schiff stated, who in the administration knew about Trump's latest tariff flip-flop ahead of time? That's the real question. Did anyone buy or sell stocks and profit at the public's expense? Yes. That's the problem. And it was several people, and it was some very public ones. Whatever. Okay. So, next. Van Eck confirms that China and Russia are settling energy trades in Bitcoin. What? Go on. Van Eck confirms that China. I'm not used to this new microphone setup. Van Eck confirms that China and Russia's use of Bitcoin for energy trade settlements signals a pivotal shift in the de-dollarization efforts. I had heard, and again, I didn't see anything to validate this, but I had heard that a ridiculous amount of settlement is going on in energy markets, not just with Bitcoin, but with other digital assets as well. So I think a digital renminbi as well. Anyway, as global tensions and trade stress flare once again, the investment firm Van Eck has confirmed that both China and Russia are reportedly settling some of their energy trades using Bitcoin. This revelation comes amid a broader trend of de-dollarization, particularly accelerated by the Trump administration's aggressive tariff stances, which tend to be pointed at China and the European Union for the most part. This came from this guy, Jonathan Hamill. He posted, Russia and China are settling oil trades in Bitcoin. I've heard firsthand accounts of similar transactions with Venezuela. Full tankers are settled in Bitcoin on the gray market. The U.S. government crossed the Rubicon in 2022 by seizing Russian assets at the Federal Reserve. This was a huge mistake. When this happened, I remember my buddy and I, we were in Playa del Carmen. We were on the roof of this rooftop of this really nice resort place we like to go to. And we were talking about this. And when I read the little announcement that the U.S. government was basically locking out the Russians from all of their legally purchased treasury assets, I thought that was a little sketch. I was like, but they bought those. Those are legit. You can't just say those don't count. Your money doesn't count. Your U.S. debt that you purchased is not real debt. Like, they gave you the money. You can't just freeze. I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And it's going to, countries are going to realize that if you fall afoul with the U.S., they'll just freeze up your treasure, your bills, notes, and bonds, and just say they don't count. Well, what about the money we gave you? Yeah, no, that counts. We got that. Okay, so where's my paper? No, that is nope. What do you mean no? Give me my shit. Nope. Anyway, so you could see it would make sense that countries might be moving towards, other ways for global settlement, which doesn't mean Ripple. Other ways towards global settlement and a marginal de-dollarization. Remember, the dollar is not the only currency in the world, but it is the currency of settlement for the world right now. So you could imagine that if that were to degrade, but I don't see Bitcoin taking that role. I see stable coins assuming that role. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, Van Eck had a report titled "Digital Assets De-Dollarization Moves Bitcoin Towards Monetary Role." I think that's a very flawed, marginally dumb-minded progression of events. But anyway, it places Bitcoin at the center of this rapidly shifting geopolitical and economic stress. But you know what they do? They say, okay, how many dollars is a Bitcoin? They don't say how many Venezuelan bolivar is a Bitcoin. They don't say how many Russian rubles is a Bitcoin or how many renminbi is a Bitcoin. They say, how many dollars is a Bitcoin? Okay, then that's what you're saying. Meaning that in that case, Bitcoin is just a proxy, a bucket that holds US dollar value. That doesn't de-dollarize. So anyway, I just think these guys are kind of missing the very obvious bigger picture. Anyway, the report argues that recent policy shifts and rising fragmentation of global trade are accelerating the need for neutral, decentralized settlement layers, and Bitcoin is one of those candidates. No, I don't think it is. Bitcoin is considered this kind of hedge store of value. It's not considered a settlement currency. It can be used for settlement, but that's not what man, these guys talk about not being able to read the room. Anyway, so there we go. Van Eck points out that while slower economic growth isn't inherently bullish for Bitcoin, no S. The potential dovish response by central banks, particularly the Federal Reserve. See, there's your first mistake. When you call the Federal Reserve a central bank, you's an idiot. They're not a central bank. They don't use money. You need to use currency units, dollars, currency to be a central bank. You can't do it off IOUs and bank reserves. Anyway, but that this could set the stage for renewed Bitcoin strength by reintroducing liquidity into the system. Stable coins introduce liquidity in the system. Just look at Tether. They printed up how many? $100+ billion worth of funny money, and people accept it and take it. I mean, sure, it's starting to get kicked out of different countries, but come on, man. Oh yeah, I mean, I think what she's talking about, she's very smart too. Just between us, Kirill, is she a guy? I know this. I'm not supposed to ask that, but is Lynn Alden a guy or it doesn't matter. It's not important. He, she, or they are very clever. I think that do you think she's a she now, or do you think she was a she? Because Adam's apple, they don't call it an Eve's apple, bro. They call it an Adam's apple for a reason. Anyway, I think the heavy is the head that wears the crown. The sword of Damocles. This idea that you have this kind of dual responsibility. This is Triffin's dilemma, actually, and it's like that's what I thought. And so the dilemma is, and listen, this dilemma started. I mean, this was brought to life in the late 50s. So right around the time of the gold standard and all this kind of stuff, Robert Triffin was going around saying you can't do these two things equally good. You can't without running ever increasing deficits. You can't have the world's reserve currency and provide dollar liquidity for the whole planet and manage your balance sheet as a country and provide and do all the things internally that you need to do, right? To build bridges and roads and fiscal policy and monetary policy and maintain consistent budgets. Because as the world expands and there is need for more liquidity, you have to provide that. So you have to run ever increasing deficits. You have to. There's no way around it. That's the dilemma. You can't do both of those things 100%. And so, here we be. So I think on that, yes. Maybe it's just us, Terrence, buddy. Maybe it's just us. Let's let's see. I am thinking of Herr Philipp. Herr Philipp. I'm guessing you are German. Are you German, sir? I'm thinking which cryptocurrency to buy. Can you tell me how to buy? No. Okay. So this guy, that's a scam. I'm going to delete that. We're going to put user in timeout. Yeah, that's a fake message. Okay. Can you tell me how to buy some stupid ass coin? All right. So here's we are. So the idea is, as slower economic growth, this is their idea. As slower economic growth doesn't necessarily mean pro-Bitcoin. When central banks around the world start their cutting and all the other machinations that ease, we know, yes, okay, but that ease, or at least the perception of that, that it could create more Bitcoin strength because Bitcoin could reintroduce liquidity into this kind of clunky system that's anemic. And what you're seeing now in yields, for those of you nerds that follow the bond market, when yields start spiking up, it typically points to a race or a scramble for dollars, meaning there might just not be enough liquidity, a lack of liquidity in the system in general. So there is that. All right. So what makes kind of now where you say, well, now's a little bit different. Yes, now's a little bit different because adoption is no longer just speculative or theoretical. There is a lot of Bitcoin adoption, not just in like among us friends and early adopters, things like that, but financial institutions, investment advisors, funds, pension funds, hedge funds all around the world. Even states are getting into the game. And look, there's a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve. So it's kind of here to stay. Looks like China and Russia are actively selling some of their energy transactions using Bitcoin, again, at least oil for now, and other digital assets. So it's kind of cool. Why and other? Because they're going to use whatever it takes to get the deal done as cost effectively as possible. So it's not, I just don't think Bitcoin will ever be used as a unit of account. People won't be saying that tanker's a 3 Bitcoin tanker. They'll be saying that's $240,000 worth of this or $6 million worth of that. Like, I'll pay in Bitcoin. Okay, cool. That equates to X amount of Bitcoin. Okay, cool. But they're still going to be settling in US dollar terms, right? They'll just use Bitcoin as a bucket for, X amount of dollars per Bitcoin. So yeah. All right. Apparently they're not alone. Bolivia has also announced plans to import electricity using cryptocurrency. French energy utility EDF is exploring the feasibility of using excess electricity currently exported to Germany to mine Bitcoin. Oh, wouldn't they love that? The French would love that. They would love to just stop giving the Germans electricity and mine Bitcoin with it. They're like, sorry, we're all out. What do you mean? We're all out. Bitcoin's role expanding amid dollar weakness. The timing of these developments could be crucial just as China and Russia make the shift toward Bitcoin. The Trump administration has escalated its trade war, especially with China. Now we're at somewhere between 125 and 140%. Like, oh, it's so ridiculous. President Trump's statement, released on Truth Social, accused China of exploiting global trade systems and promised the era of ripping off the U.S. was over. Well, China has been exploiting global trade systems. China's pretty sketchy. One thing they don't do that a lot of people blame them for is currency manipulation. They don't manipulate their currency. They try to keep enough liquidity to do business all over the world all the time. They're not manipulating their currency. They're just trying to do as much GD business as possible. So there's a lot of things that China does that's sketch, but currency manipulation is not one of them. They're just managing a balance sheet. And from that perspective, they're just managing a balance sheet. So while new tariffs on other nations were delayed by 90 days, Not so much for China. The increase against China sent a clear signal that Washington is not backing down. So yeah, it's 125% is that's something. Yeah, and listen, it's a floating peg. There's a range. It's not a specific. You know how that works, Green, right? Like there's a range, and they kind of try to mark it in the middle of an allowed range throughout trading sessions. So it's an allowed range, but yes, it's a tight range. The immediate market reaction during all this was pretty bullish for Bitcoin, as you guys know. You guys saw what all happened yesterday. Great. We will see if these other governments use more Bitcoin to do trade, more stable coins to do trade. We don't know until we see a little bit more history. Russia has set the precedent before now, as a report in December shows that the country has been increasingly adopting Bitcoin for foreign trades. Yeah, I know. We're going to lose all our cool Temu stuff. That's going to suck. I love Temu. Anyway, yeah, I got a cool night vision thing. I actually got it for my ex-girlfriend, and she didn't want it. Can you believe that? She didn't want a cool night vision thing. I got her a night vision thing because she said she was scared of the dark. I was like, how do you want to get cured of that? I'll get you some dang night vision. How about that? And no, that wasn't enough. That was not enough. Anyway, the broader de-dollarization movement. VanEck's report, which again is on some questionable legs, but their report stipulates that these developments within the long-term trend of de-dollarization look like they will continue. A weakening U.S. dollar could further entrench Bitcoin's role as a hedge against fiat debasement. Yes, but that's beyond obvious. It doesn't have to be a weakening U.S. dollar. It's just that every country on earth, because see, you can imagine a scenario where the U.S. is printing. They're creating dollars, debasing, but everyone's debasing. If everyone's debasing, then everyone's getting weaker at the same time, which they are. Every government's printing all the time. And so all currencies are being debased to some extent all the time. So Bitcoin is a hedge against stupidity. It's a debasement hedge, but it's a hedge against stupidity. It's a hedge against government behavior and bureaucracy. So he pointed out that the Dixie, the dollar index, which dropped over 7% year to date, now sits at 102.5. A sustained decline in the dollar would amplify the Bitcoin as a hedge narrative. Yes, if the dollar declined consistently, but it doesn't. Funny enough, it doesn't. It's the cleanest dirty shirt, whatever they call it, the leper with the most fingers. So there you go. Yeah. So we'll see. A lot of people are saying that Trump's policies are ironically driving the very trend they aim to suppress. They're saying that Trump is threatening countries that tried to de-dollarize with increased tariffs. And ironically, this isolationist policy may drive the trend towards de-dollarization. Well, yeah, I mean, if you make it not fun to deal with the U.S., you just quit. You just don't deal with the U.S. But on the other side of it, we've been getting screwed for 40 years. Enough is enough. These countries come and dump their crap here, and then they drive. God, you don't even want to know how cheap Mercedes are and stuff in Germany. It's like Honda, like Priuses are here. All those douchebags that drive Priuses, well, now they drive Teslas. That crew, that same cohort in Germany, they all drive like high-end Mercedes. Like it's ridiculous. Anyway, we've been getting screwed for a while. I'm kind of, again, I don't know that this war with China makes a lot of sense, but you know, something got to give. Am I right? Anyway, so we'll see. VanEck advises their investors to closely monitor indicators such as Federal Reserve policy. That's wrong. That's a fail. Treasury yields, yes. Bitcoin exchange traded product flows? No, because that's retail investors. I don't want to get my marching orders from a bunch of dumbass retail investors. These guys are stupid, man. Yeah. Anyway, listen, everyone's got their opinion, and that's fine, even if theirs are wrong. Let's see. Excited for less cheap disposable garbage products getting imported here in Philly? Yes. Less to the landfills. Half a gallon of milk. Half a million gallons of diesel for a ship to go from Hong Kong to Long Beach. Yeah, I know. God. So now, Howard, I get it. You're not a fan of Trump, but I do feel like sometimes it may color your perception of things. Remember, it's not personal. Nothing that any of these people do is personal against us. So you have to pull back the emotion. Pull back the claws, Tiger. It is what it is. No, you speak your perception of the truth. This is one thing I had to learn. We all only have our perception of the world around us. And then we can imagine what other people's perspectives are. Most of us don't. Most of us do not try to imagine other people's perspectives. But were we to do so, we should. Were we to do so, we would probably see the world differently. And Howard, just putting things in caps doesn't make it right or wrong or different. It just makes it loud and aggressive. I want you to immediately do 25 push-ups, Howard, and then relax. 25 push-ups and breathe. Do some breathing exercises. Remember, in with the mean green, out with the pastel pink. Or in with the pastel pink and out with the mean green. One of those. And he didn't. Oh God, Howard, you're taking this on a weird tangent, but you're wrong about that. You're 100% wrong. He didn't make any concessions with Tesla. Tesla borrowed money. They got a loan from the government, as did GM, as did all the other automakers. You know what the difference is? Tesla paid back their loan with interest, and none of the other automakers have. Go do that research, Howard, and then come back with your capital letters. Like, I don't necessarily like, there's things not to like about everybody. But Elon, to me, has proven that he is here to make at least America and humanity a better place. Or make America a better place and humanity just better. So I think the anger and aggressiveness towards him is maybe misguided. Okay. Let's talk about SUI for a minute. So forget about what all the political, the rigmarole, the tariffs, the Dow being down 1,400 points right now, the S&P being down 239, the NASDAQ being down over 5%, which is technically crash territory. Forget about all that, man. We just gave back everything from yesterday, just spewed right back. What's the Bitcoin at? 78 and change. Although the Bitcoin was 74 yesterday, so it hasn't given it all back. But Bitcoin 78.6. Yeah, so what? Ethereum 1491. Ethereum's getting dick punched. Solana also getting dick punched. Whatever. It is what it is. So these are good. This is what you want. You want that. If you're an options participant, you love this because you love the volatility. The volatility makes these premiums whoop, whoop, whoop. All right. Okay. Let's talk SUI. Now, I had said for a while, you can go back. I'd said SUI's being pushed by the same creeps that pushed Solana. Now, I think that narrative is starting to surface. People are starting to pay attention. So let's focus our last 10, 12 minutes. Let's go to the classroom and let's talk about, is SUI the next Solana, and what are some of the cases for that?
Hello. You're late.
You're bad at math, but I'm giving you an A+ in confidence.
Just doing what I gotta do.
Extra credit.
All right. So the contention Is it possible that SUI is being set up to be the next Solana? Is it fundamentally strong? Their marketing team is parfaitement. So they yesterday, after the Trump tariff pause, 1.9 billion flooded back in to SUI. Now, if we were to look at it now, and let me go over and just pop up that market sheet, they're still up on the day. A lot of everybody's still up on the day. That's the thing. People are like, oh my God, it's giving it all back. Everything's still up from yesterday. It's still up. So we're talking about SUI for now. So let's put this up. So a pretty big influx came in. Let's go 7-day. So you saw a pretty big bump right here. Boop. But it was just, getting back some of what it lost. Now it's down a little bit today, but you're seeing a pretty big, a little bit of give back. But look at that volume. Holy smokes. So let's talk SUI a little bit. SUI's perceptively strong fundamentals mean that the coin is seemingly well positioned to lead any bull market that would emerge from a resolution to this ongoing tariff stuff. The tariff stuff just keeps coming. And so, everybody's like, okay, great. Now things are good again because the tariff pause. I'm like, yes, but it's a pause. Nothing's been resolved. It's just, we've kicked the can down 90 more days. And now we're having a dick battle with China. But SUI gained 10% in that little kind of past 24 hours. It jumped to over $2.13. Obviously, it's given up a little bit. SUI reversed a bunch of its heavy losses that it had sustained in the previous days, although it's still down by quite a bit because we remember this thing around $5 a few months ago. But a lot of eyeballs keep looking at this thing. It's like the thing that won't die. So it's holding on to what annual return? It was about 37%. Let me see. Where are we at on the Oh, that doesn't have all the. Let me go to the. Let me make this easier for you guys to read instead of just for me to read. Let's go back over here. So we're up the 30, still 35 and a half, almost 36% on the yearly. That's pretty freaking good. It's pretty freaking good. Go back to that chart. So price-wise, it has performed in a market that's gotten its butt kicked. Now, you could have been one of those people that bought SUI at $5. I wouldn't have been, but you could have been. I mean, somebody did. So anyway, SUI gets talked about a lot. Again, based on the Move blockchain. So when you think SUI and Aptos. In your mind, you should put that bucket together. But it's sitting at about 35.5% annual return. 24-hour trading volume spiked to over 1.9 billion. Woof. And it's doing fine today, even though other stuff is starting to sell off. So it's got good marketing. It's got okay DNA. One of the heads of the company disappeared, Moshe. He left to pursue other things. That usually means there's some kind of conspiracy, some cover up, some shenanigans he got into. Who knows? Maybe they found something on his computer, the wrong kind of pornography. No, we'll never know. But he's gone, and that's probably a good thing. So it seems like SUI is setting up to where it could make a lot of progress in the coming year. Are the same people that pushed Solana behind SUI? Seems like it. Are they going to pump SUI and try to make it the next big one so they can all line their pockets? Seems like it. So, the chart people get very excited. I don't believe charts tell you the story. But, marketing more and more seems like the penultimate, the quintessential element that a lot of these projects are missing. Good marketing. Another thing, I don't really know much about who runs SUI, their mouthpiece, because there isn't really a mouthpiece. You have Charles Hoskinson, essing the bed with Cardano, dead. You have Vitalik, who's been dormant for a couple of years, and Ethereum's become dead. But now he's waking back up, and Ethereum's waking back up. You don't need a mouthpiece. You do have some. You have Bitcoin Core and all those guys, but you don't really need Adam Back, obviously, who is probably part of Satoshi, whatever that group of people was, him and Hal Finney and whoever that group was that are Satoshi. Adam Back is almost certainly one of them. Anyway, neither here nor there. Gavin Wood, although he doesn't ever speak, he's the mouthpiece for Polkadot, which is a dead project. You had the two douchebags over at Matic that always whine and complain. They're kind of like a mini Charles Hoskinson, just a little whiny little bitches. You had, as you go down these projects, you have the douchebags at Solana and all this, but the Solana blockchain is still pretty weak. It crashes a lot. I hope they get it figured out because, it'd be nice to see Jupiter performing well because of that. But it looks like the same scumbaggy VC douchebag committee that pushed Solana on everyone, regardless of its weak technology, that the ones that pushed it on everyone, and the same people, incidentally, that were kind of the money behind FTX, because the actual money behind FTX is very questionable. And so it looks like the same people that pushed Solana are going to be pushing SUI, and it looks like you could be along for the ride. I don't know what that means. You still have to look and make sure this is something that fits into your portfolio, something that you'd be willing to sit on, but in a recovery, SUI probably does pretty dang good. It's in a good spot to benefit from a recovery. And at some point we will be on the other side of this tariff crap, or tariff agreements will be made, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we'll see. If tariff issues between the US and China calm down, like right now, it's all bluster, but that's gonna settle. That too shall pass. That will calm down. People will be less angry. It'll be less about pride and more about okay. Let's not blow up our trade relationship. China needs the US as much as the US needs China. So this level of tariff is to bring everybody back to the table and say, okay, unzip, lay it on the table. Let's all compare notes. Let's see what we got to do to make what we got to do happy. Let's make everybody happy. So anyway, we'll see. There's an ETF application actually for SUI. I don't think SUI's big enough for any US exposure for an ETF. But yeah, I think for this year, that's something that you should take a look at. Right now, every asset is dependent on wider market conditions. You guys can see that's pretty obvious, right? Some traders may prefer to look at newer coins that could surge because it's more exciting. So if you're looking at, will my Solana come back? Will my Ethereum? Or, wow, look at SUI. SUI's new, it's fresh, it's untainted. The old CEO is gone. It's refreshed. It's ready. It already got to $5. I could jump in now and when we get on the other side of tax season, which is here in a week, when we get on the other side of this tariff stuff, which is, days or weeks, things will look a lot less gloomy and they will have a lot more upside potential. Cool? Makes sense? That's where we're at. That's where we be. So, yeah, I think the same douchebags that pushed Solana will push SUI. I think the same VCs that were getting all their buddies involved will do it. Now, of course, these are the same dickbags that pushed Luna and UST. It's the same idiots. But you know what? People continue to give these idiots money. If you keep giving them money, they're going to keep doing this crap. So they're going to keep doing this crap. So don't be surprised. Okay. Whew, we nailed it. Buy what I hate. That would not have done you well. It can't be. I can't be like Kramer. Otherwise, I would not have money. But listen, if you think you can make money off buying stuff I don't like, by all means, do it. My guess is that won't work out in the long run. Yeah, because math. But hey, listen, you got to do you. Whatever works for you. Okay. Let me see if there's any final questions. Nope, we nailed it. Great. Okay. We will be looking. Let's see. Why does CoinGecko show Bitcoin 79? Well, it depends on where they probably pool statistics from a bunch of different exchanges. So it's the way they weight those different exchanges is the final probably value that they come up with. I mean, even looking on, if you go to Live Coin Watch, you'll get one. But I bet it's different between Live Coin Watch 78.2 and CNBC. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Yes, okay. Dow plunges 1,700 points. Ouch! That's a dick punch. Bitcoin is at 78.8. And here it's at 78.3. So I got 78.8 over on CNBC. So it just depends where they're pulling their data. None of these are the beacon of truth. These aren't oracles. I would always go to the exchange itself. Just go right to the exchange and look at your exchange where you're doing business. And that's the price. Okay. Bam. Yeah, I mean, even if you reload this one. Yeah, same. Yeah. Okay. All right. Why not a yay punch? What's a yay punch? Okay. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll be again behind the wall for some cool stuff. Dude, I already blocked you. Ban user, deleted. Gone. See you later. Bye. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything my poor insolvent drunk strung on meth grandmother doesn't do. And also, don't do anything I say to do. You guys got to manage your own money. On that one thing, I would say, well, you would be wrong on that on contrarian. What you should have said was, don't do anything Nick says. Do whatever you want to do. And that is accurate. You should not do something because I like it, and you should not do something because I don't like it. That makes you a fool. Because what if I'm not paying attention? What if I'm doing the drugs? What if I'm like Novogratz and just flipping clueless? What if I'm like Do Kwon and pulling scams? You don't know. So you need to ask your own questions. You need to do your own research. You need to feel comfortable, DYR. You need to feel comfortable with these things so that you can sleep at night. And if you can't sleep at night or you don't understand these assets good enough to explain them to your grandmother, then you should not be buying them. You certainly should not own them. And if you're getting emotional, some of you are, I see it in the comments. Remember, I see all the comments too. If you guys are getting emotional, you own too much. You need to de-risk. You need to sell stuff. Like, well, I don't want to sell it. It's down. Okay, well, then you got to do something. You got to do something to calm your soul because you are too pent up. You have too much emotion in and around your currency units, your speculative currency units in the crypto space, which is illiquid assets on illiquid exchanges being traded by sketchy individuals. Be careful. Careful out there. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything with poor someone drunk. Strung on meth grandmother wouldn't do. And we'll see you tomorrow for more fun and shenanigans.